Are you prepared for the truth? These questions reveal if you and your partner are really ready for kids. So, in our last videos, we've actually covered the first two sections, and we will now be diving into children and family questions. So, the first question is, do you owe alimony or child support to a previous partner? Alimony is a form of payment that you provide to your previous partner once you divorce your partner. Usually, this is payments to ensure that they continue to have a lifestyle that they were accustomed to prior to the divorce, and this usually occurs for most of their life, unless you're in a certain state where it's up to a certain age. Child support, on the other hand, is payments that you make to your children once you divorce, and these payments range from 18, which is if the child decides not to go to college, 22 if they do their bachelor's degree, or 24 if they decide to do their master's degree. Now, how would I rate this question? I would personally rate this question as a somewhat important question. And the reason for that is because this information will be important because it will actually impact your budget. So essentially, if your partner is paying alimony or child support, this will actually restrict some of the income that your partner has. Now, will this impact your future prospects? Yes, it will. But as long as your partner continues to maintain, their legal obligations to actually pay the child support and the alimony, then the rest of the income that you do have will be able to be utilized for future items such as investments, having your kids attend school, or any other item that your future may have. You just need to understand the limitations of your partner's budget because they now have these financial obligations. So, moving on to the next question. How do you plan to teach your children about money? So, how would I rate this question? I would say this is actually a must-ask question. And the reason for that is because something that is somewhat uncommon in our current community is financial literacy. So, something that is very important to understand is, your financial literacy is something that you've honed and developed for your entire life. So it's important that if you have children, that you help them hone theirs as well. So they make the best decision in their life and continue to have future generations also learn this aspect of financial literacy, which is an important aspect of their daily lives. Now let's move on to the next question. Do you plan to contribute to your children's secondary education? So what is secondary education? Secondary education are grades 9 through 12. So that's high school here in the United States. Now, how would I rate this question? I would rate this question as a don't ask. And the reason for that is because in the United States, grades 9 through 12 is actually a free, you can actually have free school, so you don't really need to pay for these unless you plan to attend private school, which is a whole different conversation that you would have with your partner. Now, let's move on to the next question. Do you plan to pursue secondary or post-secondary education for yourself, either now or in the future? So now, post-secondary education, this is college. So this is college or university in some cases. So now, how would I rate this question? I would actually rate this question as important. And the reason for that is because your partner pursuing secondary or post-secondary education will actually impact the long-term impact of how much money or income you can earn in your lifetime. So usually if you're able to at least complete a high school diploma, you can actually start to apply for a few jobs. But what's most important is the post-secondary, which effectively, that will open up a world of opportunities for different types of jobs. And sometimes you don't even need to do like college or university. You can do a trade school as well as post-secondary education. And this will also be a very important thing for your long-term success in terms of investments and other items. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Would you accept a loan from a friend or relative? Now, how would I rate this question? So I would rate this question as a don't ask. And the reason for this is because depending on your partner's moral character, in most cases, hopefully they have a good moral character, they will usually not accept a loan, in most cases, from their family or friends if they're in a good financial position. In most cases, the only time that a friend or family would be needed to loan you money is if you're in a final act of desperation, you've exhausted all of your options, and you have no other choice. And essentially, you're going to be losing your house, your car, or something, and this loan can effectively save you from that happening. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm the host of TheLostSanctuary. I hope you've been enjoying our content so far, and if you have, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also, we have our website up here, and we also have some socials down here, and as always, leave your comments down below. Now let's move on to the next question. Would you lend money to a friend or relative in need? I would rate this question as a must ask. And the reason for that is because sometimes your partner may be looking at the world through rose tinted glasses, where they may see only the positives of things and not see the negative repercussions of doing an action. So sometimes when they decide to actually lend money to a family or friend, they may not see that this money may never return. So because sometimes when you lend to family and friends, it's sometimes hard to gauge the person whether or not they're not going to pay you back or not. So it's important for you to protect your partner from these situations and help them set boundaries with family and friends so he or she is not taken advantage of. So now let's move on to the next question. Do you plan to support your parents or relatives as they age? So how would I rate this question? I would rate this question as a must-ask question. This is a very important question you want to ask early on in your relationship, because overall, this is actually going to impact your long-term prospects with your partner. If this is something that, for example, you're uncomfortable with, for example, having, maybe not just monetary assistance for family members or siblings for your partner, but also having them move into your house, this may cause long-term consequences, not just in your own finances, where you might have to pick up more of the slack and essentially pay more into the relationship, as well as maybe making living conditions a little bit more uncomfortable for yourself. So this is something you need to really understand early on in the relationship, if you're comfortable with, before you even move forward with the relationship, as this is something that might be something that your partner may not want to part with. They may be serious and say, like, yes, that's something that I will be doing throughout my life. So let's move on to the next question. How much financial assistance would you offer your sick or elderly parents? So how would I rate this question? I would say this is an important question. And the reason for that is because you really want to understand your partner's mindset on this. So essentially, monetary contributions to family or to elderly parents may actually come with a price in your long-term health in terms of, financially. So essentially, if your partner contributes a large portion of their income, this may cause an unnecessary strain on you, the partner. And the reason for that is, for example, if you have a rent contribution, let's say it's 50-50 at the moment, if they start supporting more of their parents, their contributions may have to lower in order to actually contribute to their parents' financial situation. So essentially, you might need to start putting in 65 or 70% of your income, which will make it much more difficult for you to actually continue to live the lifestyle that you're accustomed to. And it may also impede future investments as well. So let's move on to the next question. When you were growing up, did your parents discuss their financial challenges with you? Now, how would I rate this question? I would rate this question as a don't ask question. And the reason for that is because in most cases, as we grow up, we actually are not really discussed. Our parents don't really discuss these kinds of financial challenges that they have. So, for example, if they can't pay their mortgage or if they lose their job, in most cases, they won't tell these to their children. They'll usually tell their partner or their spouse. But in most cases, children are not involved in these because this increases unnecessary tension for children. So I would say this is a don't ask question in most cases. Let's move on to the next question. Did your parents teach you any important lessons about money? So how would I rate this question? I would rate this question as a don't ask question. And the reason for that is because it actually doesn't matter where your partner learned to be financially savvy. Because parents are only one aspect of the foundation. Sometimes you have other mentors such as your professor, friends, and even coworkers who will actually make you a financially savvy person. So essentially, as you see your partner as someone who is financially savvy, it doesn't matter where they got it from, as long as they are that. Now, on the other hand, if your partner is not someone who's good with money, then essentially they either didn't have good mentors or no one really taught them about money. So it's important for you to actually gauge your partner and understand how financially literate they are, and then help guide them yourself if you see that they don't have any financial education. Alrighty, so that will cover all of the questions in children and family questions. In our next episode, we will cover the final section, which is retirement and investing questions. I would like to thank everyone here for their time and viewing this video, and I wish everyone a blessed day. Adios. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm wishing everyone out there all the best. All right, until next time, adios.